Folks, a new Nintendo game has been announced, but it couldn't have been the one you were expecting by any means. Welcome to the Mario Matter, your favorite Nintendo podcast, I believe, episode 144. I'm all out of whack. I'm your host, Nintendo Switch 2 YouTuber EmSwizzle, back in the studio, in the place where we do the podcast. Usually, thank you all for the support on the last episode, the remote episode with my father. What is on today's show, you may be asking me? Well, folks, first things first, we have some Nintendo Switch 2 related news for you. We have the Switch 2 sales numbers to discuss. We have a Mario Kart World DLC theory, and we also have some Splatoon 3 update news. We'll dive into that. Then our second topic. Listen, you probably know what game I'm referring to, but I won't tell you yet. A new Nintendo game has been announced for the Switch 2. We dive into all that in segment 2 of the podcast. Then in segment 3, I answer your questions you asked me about Switch 2, about Nintendo, all that sort of stuff. If you want to skip anywhere in the podcast, there are timestamps down in the description. Otherwise, let's get to it.
Welcome to the Mario Matter, the #1 Nintendo podcast.
Also, I do want to say one thing. For those of you who love the guest episodes, don't worry. Guest episodes return next week, and we have a couple guests lined up for the next few episodes. So, it won't just be me and you talking, a one-on-one conversation no more. It's going to be me and a Nintendo YouTuber guesting this podcast. So look forward to the next few episodes if you enjoy guest episodes. But let's dive in, folks. Not as much has happened, during the first 7 days of Nintendo Switch 2 as I thought would happen. And honestly, nothing probably should happen. They were never going to announce like a 3D Mario game this week of the Switch 2. They were never going to announce some groundbreaking thing because, the console did just come out. So we have to talk about some other topics. And let's start with our first one here, which is Nintendo actually announced the sales numbers for the Nintendo Switch freaking 2. So we've all been wondering how this console is going to perform, There were obviously very many drop the price, greedy company, would you call them allegations, comments, criticisms, you would say maybe, of Nintendo ever since the Switch 2 price was revealed. So we were all wondering how well the console was going to do. And honestly, a lot of people ask me, Max, what do you think the console is going to sell? Listen, to be honest with you, I've said before, in its entire lifetime, it'll sell like 90 million, 85 million. I might have to walk that back because Nintendo has announced. We have a few numbers here. In the first 4 days of Nintendo Switch 2, the console has sold worldwide 3.5 million Switch 2s, making it the fastest selling Nintendo console of all time. And without it being confirmed, most likely the fastest selling game console, or at least home console of all time. So beats out the PlayStation 5, PS4, obviously something like the Wii or the Switch 1, obviously. It beats out all of those other top gaming giants. I believe, listen, I don't have the numbers for you. Did it already outsell the Steam Deck? I forget exactly what the numbers are. It sold, a quarter of the Wii U's entire lifetime sales already. Like, Switch 2 is popping off. And listen, I'm not here to, as the kids say, glaze the Switch 2. But listen, man, 3.5 million in 4 days, you don't do that. It doesn't happen. You don't see it. And that's why this is probably the fastest selling console of all time. We have a little chime in from an analyst, Daniel Ahmad, who chimes in. These analyst people, they track the sales and all that. He says it is the fastest selling home console of all time. So we should probably be trusting the analysts, people who do this for a living, to tell us that info, and they have done so. So that is interesting. Now, we also have this tidbit for the US. In the US, it is definitely 1000% the fastest selling home console in the US. But Nintendo confirmed that. They didn't give us actual numbers. So, like, they didn't come out and say 1.2 million for the US, fastest selling, US console. They only said it is the fastest selling console in the US, but they didn't give us any sort of number to go off of there. So, interesting info, not much to dive into. Like I couldn't elaborate on this for 15 minutes, but I'm sure that was a big question that we all wanted to hear the answer to, and we got the answer. As of recording, it is Friday, 5 p.m., so no other news should come out regarding the sales numbers in the next... I post on Saturday at 10 a.m., so in the next, quick math, 17 hours, so I gotta hope, and we'll see. But folks, let's move on to our next news topic. Can you call it news? Theory. To our next theory. Listen, guys, usually on this podcast, I bring news and I bring rumors. Nothing more. This is the first time we've ever discussed a theory on the podcast. And why are we doing that? The reason is this theory makes so much sense. I wanted to bring it on the podcast because I guarantee you this will happen. This will happen. So the theory has to do with Mario Kart World. So for anybody who's been enjoying that, put a little comment down below if you're on Spotify or YouTube, because Apple can't comment. Haha, Apple Podcast listeners. I'm just kidding. We love you. But comment down below like a little, racing cart emoji if you've been enjoying some Mario Kart World. We have a theory that may add some free, I hopefully emphasize, free DLC in the future. So, let's dive into this theory. So, I saw this story first from Polygon, the article gaming site, and this is the theory, okay? So, in Mario Kart World, most of the racers have unlockable costumes. So, for example, Mario, if you race as Mario and you get those food items, you can transform Mario into, like, the all-terrain version of Mario, or the biker version of Mario. You can, like, transform these characters into different costumes of their normal selves. There's a, like, runner, jogger version of Koopa Troopa. There's like, biker Waluigi. There's so many costumes, okay? And we know Donkey Kong and Pauline are both in Mario Kart World. What do they have to do? What do they have to do with anything? Donkey Kong and Pauline are also going to be a part of Donkey Kong Bonanza, the Switch 2 game. I've been saying recently that game comes out July 22nd. It's July 17th. I don't know where I got July 22nd from. Anyways, Donkey Kong and Pauline are both in Donkey Kong Bonanza. Okay, that's an interesting link already. So, here's the next fascinating discovery. Donkey Kong in Mario Kart World only has one unlockable costume, whereas Mario, Luigi, Waluigi, Baby Rosalina, of all people, have at least 4, 5, 6, 7 costumes, maybe even 8. And Donkey Kong has one. Now, here's what's even weirder. As I said, an example used in that Polygon article, I believe, was like Baby Rosalina has 4 outfits, and Donkey Kong has 1. Guess who also has 1 outfit only? Pauline. So here's the theory. When Donkey Kong Bonanza releases on July 17th, it may not be on July 17th, but the theory is we will get Mario Kart World free DLC, an update. There's no way they could charge for that. Mario Kart World DLC, or maybe if you buy Donkey Kong Bonanza, you get the DLC for Mario Kart World. When that game releases, they will put out more outfits for Donkey Kong, more outfits for Pauline, and they'll also add, this is the theory, no, not even a rumor, it's a theory. They will also add Diddy Kong, Dixie Kong, and Cranky Kong to Mario Kart World. I'm just going to be silent for a few seconds. Let that sit in. Let that sink in, as they say. Listen, bro. Or girl. I can believe it. I actually believe this theory. And I'm not one to believe the theories. I'm one to believe the rumors, but there's no evidence backing this up. Apart from Donkey Kong and Pauline have one unlockable costume. Apart from that, we have nothing concrete to go off of here. But it makes so much sense. Why does baby Rosalina have 4 outfits and Donkey Kong has 1? Especially, this is the first time that we're seeing Donkey Kong's not new design. First time in an official release Nintendo game that we have a newly designed Donkey Kong. Especially in that game, he only has 1 unlockable outfit. Makes no sense to me. So, honestly, I said it earlier. If it's not gonna be free DLC, like a free update, this could be free with your purchase of Donkey Kong Bonanza. With your purchase of Donkey Kong, you will get the free Mario Kart World update. That could be what happens, or it could simply just be free for everyone as a way to promote Bonanza, right? So we'll see what happens. But listen, man, I like theories. Maybe we will start reporting on some more in the future. That one seems pretty believable, so we'll find out July 17th or somewhere around there. The update for Mario Kart may not release on July 17th when Bonanza releases, but it's a story to watch, and I believe it strongly, so I wanted to bring it up. And a lot of people hate when I bring rumors to this podcast. They're like, Max, they're fake. I will tell you this, a lot of the rumors that I bring to this podcast, listen, I've not been keeping score. A lot of them come true. So, take that how you will, I guess I should say. But folks, let's talk about my favorite piece of news from the past week. Okay, yeah. Well, not this part in particular, but part of it. So, the news is Splatoon 3, for those who play the great Splatoon 3, got an update for the Nintendo Switch 2. Essentially, Splatoon 3 got a Nintendo Switch 2 edition without it fully being a Nintendo Switch 2 edition. So like, Breath of the Wild, Kirby in the Forgotten Land are all getting Switch 2 editions where they not only run better, but they have extra content. This update is kind of like that, and it's free. So, Splatoon 3 got updated to version 10.0.0, a fancy, clean 10.0. That's beautiful. And it got a couple things. So, Splatoon 3 now, it's released, runs at 4K, 60 frames per second. I was planning to play this update the night that it came out. I had a fun night planned, but bro, I didn't. So, I knew that it would release at 9 p.m. Eastern time. But I didn't see the update available. So I didn't start downloading it until like 9:30. It was going to take 10 minutes to download. I wanted to go to bed. So I just went to bed. I didn't play it. So I've not played it yet, but I've heard from a lot of people this update is mega nice if you are on the Nintendo Switch 2. And also, they just pretty much did a bunch of performance enhancements. Like they made some parts of the game smoother. Sometimes if you go to a certain area in the Splatsville, it's called, not Inkopolis. If you go to a certain part, it can get laggy, choppy, drop in frames. They kind of smoothened out all of that. They added a new, not a new stage. They added a new stage from wait, why did I say new again? They added a stage from Splatoon 1, the original Splatoon game on the Wii U, Urchin Underpass, to Splatoon 3. That is now in the game. And they also added 30 brand new weapons. Listen, all that for free, knowing Nintendo nowadays, 3D company, you should be thankful that's free. They could have charged you $5 for the Switch 2 edition. But they didn't. They didn't do it. And honestly, I'm a little bit surprised they didn't make it a paid upgrade. Here's why. If they made a box version of Splatoon 3 and it says Switch 2 edition on it. I mean, that would probably print money, not only because people who already have the game are going to upgrade for $5, but also, you know, this tells me we probably won't get a new Splatoon 3 game. A new Splatoon game, a mainline one, for a while. So, having a Splatoon 3 Switch 2 box on shelves, I think makes waves. For anybody who just got a Switch 2 and didn't have a Switch 1, if they want to play Splatoon 3, you know, you're getting $5 more out of them. It looks a little more appealing to get the Switch 2 version. You know, like it just looks cooler. You can print some money that way. So, I guess they're still getting their money either way, because if somebody who just bought a Switch 2 buys Splatoon 3 and then buys the upgrade, that's still $65. So I get where they're coming from, but I will say, re-release games do look pretty good in Switch 2 packaging. So that was just my thought process. I don't know. But folks, I will say this to transition to our main topic of today. When Nintendo announced the Splatoon 3 update, that wasn't the first thing they announced, the biggest thing they announced, or the best thing they announced that had to do with the Splatoon series. And you all probably know what I'm talking about, Max. Just spill the beans. I will in our next segment, which we get to right now. So, my friends, it was, I believe, was it Tuesday? It was a Tuesday morning. I was just waking up, not waking up. I was awake for a little while. But, you know, I was just getting the day started, I would say. And I scroll on Twitter, and what do I see? Splatoon 3 spinoff has been announced. Okay, I will say this. Out of all announcements that Nintendo could have given us on a Tuesday in the morning, I will say I didn't have that on my list. Because, I mean, obviously, this game is being branded as the first Splatoon spinoff. I never thought they would ever do a Splatoon spinoff. I mean, it makes sense. Splatoon makes money, so a spinoff makes sense. Quote that. That's a great quote. That's a great quote. So, you know, it makes all the sense in the world to do, but it's not what I expected. So, let's dive into the details, and then I'll give my thoughts on what we have here, what the price might be, when it might release. Because I will be honest, there are probably some Splatoon experts watching this podcast, or listening rather. I'm not that. Listen, I love Splatoon. I've been playing since release day on the Wii U. But I don't know like the ins and outs of the story. So that is why I pulled directly from Nintendo's website some quotes, and I have a description made for you that tells you what the game is all about. So sit back, relax. Let me educate you on Splatoon Raiders, it is called. The spin-off game releasing, no release date, but I have a pretty good idea I'll get to later. So, quote, in Splatoon Raiders, you play as a mechanic exploring the mysterious Spiralite Islands alongside fan favorites the Deep Cut, Shiver, Fry, and Big Man. After a dramatic crash landing, you'll scavenge, build, and survive in a lush open environment teeming with secrets. This isn't turf war. It's an ink-drenched survival adventure with exploration, resource gathering, and maybe even base building. Splatoon Raiders looks like Splatoon meets Breath of the Wild meets Raft, whatever that is. And with that swirling sky energy, there's clearly a deeper mystery hiding in the islands. That's your little Mario Matter description of Splatoon Raiders. Just off of that, I'm excited. Now, they put out a 5-minute trailer, but about 2.5 of those minutes were focused on the Splatoon 3 update. You know, good 2.5 minute trailer. We didn't get very much. You saw video of the Deep Cuts, Shiver, Fry, and Big Man in a helicopter. They crash land in some bad weather, and then it kind of transitions to the Inklings on a tropical island, and we don't get much to go off of here of what the game is about. I just read you the, description, survival adventure type of vibe to it. We saw a new blue robot companion walking with the Inkling, which is you. So we don't have much to go off of. But I do want to talk about what we can talk about, because there's some hidden info that came out that Nintendo didn't put out about this game. So we'll dive into that in a second. Apart from that, Spiralite Islands, that's the setting of the game. It looks tropical, and I'm excited because I'm not saying that it is by any means, but this looks, I say looks, like almost an extension of the Splatoon 3 story mode. I'm not saying that it is. I'm sure the story and gameplay are very different, but it gives me those Splatoon 3 story mode vibes, if I can call it that, and therefore it's looking pretty freaking sweet. I have always loved Splatoon story mode, so if it's not like that, but if it's same energy in a way, I will enjoy this game. But aside from that, let's talk about a few different things that have come out and some speculation on my part with what we have to work with. So, the big news that came out that Nintendo didn't put out is Splatoon Raiders has already been rated by the ESRB. Now, what does that mean? Well, the ESRB is the rating board for video games in America and maybe Canada. I'm forgetting, but I believe Canada. They are the rating board. So when you buy a game and you look in the bottom left corner, it says E for everyone, T for teen, M for mature. They are the ones who do that. They have rated Splatoon Raiders. I believe it was E, everybody 10 and up. Now, what does that mean? Well, the ESRB can't rate a game, I imagine, until it's fully done. And with Splatoon Raiders being rated, the game must be pretty freaking close to done, if not done. And so you might think that sounds like not very much so substantiated evidence that this game is releasing soon, but trust me, we've seen this so many times. We've seen, I'm gonna be lacking examples. I'm lacking examples, but I know. Here we go. Here's an example. When Emio the Smiling Man, that Nintendo horror game released, or when it was announced, that was also rated by the ESRB. Guess what? Came out like a month later. The ESRB ratings actually mean something. It means the game is done. So, with that evidence now thrown into the mix, I have a case that Splatoon Raiders will come out not only this year, but probably sooner than we think. Listen, I'm not trying to get pushy here, but it looks like a pretty tropical game. And I know a month this year that looks a little empty. And that's August. Now, in August, we 1000% have Drag X Drive releasing in August. Maybe Splatoon Raiders won't release in August. I can see that happening. Here's what I predict. So in July, we obviously have Donkey Kong Bonanza releasing. The week after that, we have Mario Party Jamboree Switch 2 Edition. And then I think August, we got Drag X Drive, the wheelchair basketball game. And then in August, also, we have Kirby and the Forgotten Land, Switch 2 Edition, Star Crossed World. So where does Splatoon Raiders slot in? It looks like an August game, but because August is packed, and sorry guys, the reason I say August for Drag X Drive, it's releasing this summer. I guess is the first week of September summer? I guess you can do that, but I doubt it, right? So, I think that is the lineup for this summer. I guess you can drop Splatoon Raiders in September. I don't see it coming out later than that, especially since it's already rated by the ESRB. and some other games coming out this year are not. So it looks close to freaking launch, right? I would say August or September release date for this game. I could be wrong because we just have simply no timeline to go with. It could come out next year, but that makes no sense. I think it's going to be within, the next few months here. And one other thing that we should talk about is, maybe I'm reading too far into things, but this spin-off being announced and being released, obviously, I don't know if it's just me, but this feels like they're telling us we're not getting a Splatoon game, a mainline one, for a long time. And when I say a long time, what's it? 2025? I think at the earliest you get it 2029. Splatoon 4. I think even later though. Because you have Splatoon 3, which you just added stuff to, and honestly, you have Splatoon 3, which doesn't seem to be slowing down by any stretch. And now you have a spin-off with Splatoon 3 characters in it, releasing this year. That needs like a 2-year breathing room to live and sell before you make Splatoon 4. So that'll be at the earliest 2027. But that seems a little bit too soon. So I think, the next Splatoon won't be for 4 years, because then you need breathing room. You need breathing room to make the next Splatoon game. A lot of these Splatoon people just worked on Splatoon Raiders. So Splatoon 4 is probably like just getting going in terms of production. I'm sure that they began planning it a while ago, but like in terms of like ramping things up and like really getting things, Splatoon 4 can't be close to launch, right? I mean, like no way. Like Splatoon 3 came out not even 3 years ago. We're not getting a new Splatoon 2029 at the earliest. And at that point, it would have been 7 years? That makes sense. I mean, if you look at 2D Mario, if you look at 3D Mario, anything as of late, a lot of Nintendo games recently have been having like 7, 8, 9, 10-year gaps in between releases. Mario Kart, 2D Mario, 3D Mario, Pikmin 4. Like, all these games are getting like 8-year, 10-year gaps. Don't be surprised if Splatoon is the same. Now, someone will come back and say, but Max, Splatoon 1 released in 2015, Splatoon 2, 2017. That was like 2 years. Yeah, but if you go back and look, they were just trying to find a way to get Splatoon 1 on the Switch. They're very, very similar games. Splatoon 1 to Splatoon 2 was not the same jump that 2 to 3 was. 2 to 3 was massive. Now, of course, they did add things to Splatoon 2. They added Salmon Run and all that. But, 2 to 3 was a massive jump. Splatoon 2 it's like Splatoon 1 Deluxe HD. So that's kind of how I feel about it. But yeah, if I had to give you a solid release date to kind of close out this segment here, I think Splatoon Raiders. Can I please look at a calendar on my phone? Let's see. So I think that your month, assuming, okay, so here's what I want to know. When does summer end? Okay. Oh, guys, I'm stupid. So, oh man, this might reframe my entire mind frame. Summer ends September 22nd. So I guess they can put out Drag X Drive like the second week of September, and that's still called summer, So, nah, but I'm still set on August is going to be Drag X Drive. I think like you're looking at second week of August, maybe third, Drag X Drive releases. That's my guess. I could be wrong. I think Splatoon Raiders drops like, is it weird to say, like right around the same time that Splatoon 3's anniversary is? So Splatoon 3 came out September 9th. I think Splatoon Raiders drops, well, okay, never mind. I think it drops September 4th. Okay. I think it drops September 4th, which is a Thursday. That's my prediction for Splatoon Raiders. Okay, I had to be careful. Yes. Okay, Splatoon, September 4th is when you will get Splatoon Raiders on the Nintendo Switch 2. That's my prediction. Now, we could see it in August. There's a case to be made for October. I think Metroid will take over September or October. It's so tough. I think I might have predicted different in the past. I think Metroid, I don't know, it's so tough. I think Metroid could come out like early October, but that's when Pokemon Legends ZA comes out. I don't know what's going to happen. My predictions have been thrown out the window, but I think the later half of summer, you will get this game. Just my prediction. I've been wrong in the past. God knows what's going to happen. But folks, it is time to get to your favorite segment of the week, the question block segment, where I answer your questions you asked me. Let's go ahead. Let's get to it. You have made it to the question block segment where I, EmSwizzle, answer your questions you have asked me. If you all want to submit questions to the Mario Matter podcast, there are a few ways to do so. Number one, every single week, if you are subscribed to my main channel, EmSwizzle, that is EmSwizzle, you might see a community post from me that says, hey, taking questions. I put a funny Nintendo image and I say bye. You can leave your questions on that post. A lot of you like to do that, so I do that. You can join the Discord server, and which is linked down below, and you can find the podcast questions channel and leave your questions in there. That tends to be the least common place people go to leave questions. And then also, if you're a bit more old school, you can email mariomatterquestions@gmail.com. I find that a lot of people who email are more thoughtful. They're like, listen, no offense to anybody, but they're more like better writers. They're like, hello, Matt. Like, I mean, it should be like that. It's an email format. They're like, let me think. Hello, or Max, comma. I am, whoever. I am John writing from Georgia. And I am wondering, with the official release of the Nintendo Switch 2, please explain in full detail why you think, like, bro, they are serious writers over there. So listen, I respect it. I challenge you all right now, if you're hearing my voice, next time that you write an email question, don't be too over the top, but write it like very professionally. Write it very, very professional. Don't be over the top, like, hear ye. Write it with some professionalism. We're going to read those next episode with a guest. All right, so first question comes from Carter Smith, who asks, which is better, the Piranha Plant camera or the Nintendo Switch 2 camera? So, I have a long-form video releasing next week going over the Piranha Plant camera. Not just that camera, but, it's in a certain video that I'm working on. And so I am qualified to talk about this topic. Which is better? Piranha Plant camera or official camera? I will tell you, you could figure this out without even buying the Piranha Plant camera, but if you want the answer, the Switch 2 official camera is much better. Now, I will say, Switch 2 camera records in 1080p. Piranha Plant camera records in 480p. So already you can tell which is, going to be more quality, but I will say this, Switch 2 camera, official, doesn't look that good either. Like, they both don't look great, But I would say, so Piranha Plant camera, doesn't look great, a little more pixely than the official one. However, if you just want a fun camera that looks cool, that's kind of compact, it's smaller than the official one, $10 more, it looks cool, it's nice, it's awesome. If you want it, and don't mind sacrificing a bit of quality, it's close enough. No one's going to care that much. Like, if you're using it for game chat, your friends won't be like, ha! Bro has the Piranha Plant camera. They won't really notice that much. Because if you think about it, when you game chat people, your camera is small as heck anyway. they're not really gonna make or break your friendship based on 1080p versus 480p when they're crunched down in size. So if you want it, buy it. It's a nice looking camera, but it is worse than the official one in terms of specs and, performance and all that. Aloha Chama asks, if you had to convince a Nintendo Switch user to purchase a Switch 2, what would be your selling pitch? That's interesting. I think that the selling pitch is not going to be with the console itself. You can see it for yourself. It obviously is futuristic in terms of the 4K and, the magnetic Joy-Cons and all the cool bits and bobbles they did to make it nice. But I think the selling point is, hey, Switch 1 users, you had the console since 2017, and guess what? We're moving on. You can no longer play any of our new games. Mario Kart World, exclusive to Switch 2. Donkey Kong Bonanza, that new Donkey Kong game that you've waited for 10 years, you can't play it. The next Smash Bros. Game, you can't play it. Splatoon Raiders, you can't play it. Drag X Drive, you can't play it. Metroid Prime, yeah, you can. Pokemon Legend, shoot. I named the 2 games that you can play on Switch 1, Metroid and Pokemon. Aside from that, the next Animal Crossing, you can't play that. The next whatever we do, you can't play. I think the selling point is going to be you cannot play these games that we are making because we have just moved on. I think that's the selling point. Because realistically, how long can you own a Switch 1 playing the same games? Some people have been owning the same Switch 1 and playing the same game since 2017. I think people want the new stuff, and that's why you switch over. Of course, better hardware, more power is great, but when it comes to what you turn on the console for, it's the games. It's that new Mario Kart that everyone's been waiting over 10 years for. It's that sells your console, less the system itself, if that makes sense. Like back when the DS was released, I wasn't even alive, but you could make the pitch, oh, it's the Game Boy, but with 2 screens. You can play entirely brand new historical games with a dual screen, something like that, But with this, you don't really have that, so I think it's going to be the games that really sell the system, and I think that is what has sold the system so far. So, thank you for the question. Joseph asks another Switch 2 camera question. Is the Switch 2 camera worth it? Simple question. I can answer. Yes, if you, to put this politely, yes, if you have friends. If you are solo YOLO, you don't need the camera. The camera is only for social things. Now, we're going to get to this in a minute, but you can use it solo for Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour. But that's it so far. The thing with the camera is, of course, it's made for game chat, so you need friends. That just lets, your friends see you online. You can use it in Mario Kart World during multiplayer, but you need friends. You can use it in Mario Party Jamboree Switch 2 Edition, but you need friends. So if you have friends that you're going to really play with, get it. I would recommend the official one. If you don't play with friends often and you're not really in a place where you want to get the camera, you can fully skip it. It's really just for social stuff. There's no, like with the Wii U camera. I mean, of course, this was multiplayer oriented too, but like in Nintendo Land, you can, see whoever's holding the gamepad through the gamepad camera. Like a lot of camera things are just made for multiplayer. Not a lot for solo. I mean, I guess Game & Wario, the WarioWare Wii U game, that used camera solo. But I think as it stands right now, if you're multiplayering, camera. If you're not, no camera. Now, guys, I need to have a moment with anybody who is a dedicated listener of this podcast. I need to talk to you guys, okay? Riley asks our next question. Max, what do you think of the new Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour, and how much do you think it is worth? All right, guys. All right. Okay. Guys, it's time for me to take my L. It's time for me to take the L like a champ. Over the past 2 months, I couldn't have been more harsh to a piece of Nintendo software in my life. I am on camera saying it is the worst rollout of software Nintendo has ever had in their history, which I might still stand by, but I've said that. I said it can't be worth $10. It must be a pack-in title. This will never be worth it. I'm going to buy it so I can tell you all how not worth it this game is, but it can't be worth it. So, a few days ago, 3 or 4 days ago, booted up Welcome Tour for the first time. And I played it. And I played it some more. And I played it for a few hours. And a few hours turned into a few more hours. And next thing you know, I like Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour. And I'm not kidding you. This game is legit, dude. Okay, so let me walk you through Nintendo Switch 2. So when they said there's a lot of content, they weren't kidding with Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour. You start off, and if you've seen the trailer of the game, you're a mini person and you walk around each part of the Nintendo Switch 2. So you start on the left Joy-Con. You walk around and get these stamps. So you get stamps, meaning that you've visited every part of the Joy-Con. So the control stick has a stamp. Every single button has a stamp. And you go and collect all these stamps. And on the left Joy-Con, there's these booths where you can play demos that have to do with the left Joy-Con. There's a demo for using the mouse feature on the left Joy-Con, and you can play that little demo fun game, and there's different medals to earn. So if you beat this game in 5 seconds, you get a gold medal. If you beat it in 3 seconds, you get an even better medal. You challenge yourself in that way and play these games over and over and over. And then you freaking go around, and there's quizzes. You get to learn about why the left Joy-Con is designed in such a way, how the magnets work, why there's a tiny little gap in between the Switch 2 and the Switch 2 Joy-Cons. You learn about all these little things, what they were thinking about when they were designing the console. It's so much cool stuff you would not learn anywhere else. And that's just for the left Joy-Con. Wait until you start learning about the main console itself, and you can go inside the Joy-Cons and see all the parts of it in this game. You can demo the camera, and there's funny camera games to play. You can freaking what else did I do? You can see even something as small as the Joy-Con straps. I got to take a tour around. You can walk on the Joy-Con straps. You can play Joy-Con strap games. You can learn about how they were made and how it was so, thoughtfully knitted, and how they were made all thoughtfully, and they thought about all of this kind of stuff. They tell you, we designed it this way because if you do it this way, this won't happen. They tell you all of that. There's camera games, there's steering wheel games, there's pro controller games. If you have a 4K TV, you can. Do you all care about this? I'm sorry. If you have a 4K TV, it shows you the difference between 1080p and 4K, and it shows you the difference between 60 frames and 120 frames. It is freaking absurd how much content is in this game. I didn't even scratch the surface. Listen, guys. I take my L. Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour. If you're into this kind of stuff, if you want to learn about the whole console and all the accessories, is worth it. God, it hurts me saying those words. It's worth $10 if you're into it. Now, if you're kind of on it, don't buy it. Don't buy it. But if you want to learn about why there's a tiny gap in between the Joy-Cons and the Switch 2, and why the control sticks were designed this way and how the magnets came to be, buy the game. It was genuinely fun, and I actually want to go back because Welcome Tour is one of those games where you want to 100% it. Like there's a mouse game where you dodge all these spike balls, and the longer you stay alive, like the more medals you get. And so like I want to go back and like get all the medals, like it makes you want to go back and like do the best you can and like fully beat the game. So it's very fun. It is fun. I take the L. So if you made it to the end of this podcast, you saw me take the L. Something that people who left earlier didn't get to see. But folks, that is it for the Mario Matter podcast. I appreciate you all so much for watching. If you did enjoy, let me know. To be honest, just let me know. Comment down below. Like the podcast if you're on a platform that can like podcasts. A review, a 5-star review would go a long way, longer than you think. And I appreciate your listenership very much. I will see you all next Saturday with a guest who I actually met last month in person for the first time. Very, very cool. And I'll see you all. I got some more guests lined up. It's been a bit hard to get guests recently because everyone's like, well, man, I would love to come on, but I'm making Switch 2 content. So not right now, but maybe in the future. So I've gotten that like 10 times. Not even kidding. But we have some people now. We're going to get back to the guest episodes. I'll see you all next Saturday for even more Nintendo goodness. Adios.